Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Friday. It is match day, of course. Arsenal versus Ipswich kicking off a little bit later on at the Emirates. Now, I'm not going to be there. Unfortunately, I'm a bit feeling pretty rough at the moment, and it has beaten me. It has beaten me, unfortunately. So I've had to transfer my ticket to my niece. So my niece is going with my dad, and I'm going to have to sit and watch it at home, which is very disappointing, of course. But it would not be a good idea for me to go to this game today. And I'm man flu striking me down over Christmas, which hasn't been much fun. So if I'm talking and sounding a bit bunged up, I can't even really hear myself. My ears are like throbbing at the moment. My head's so bunged up, and I can barely even hear myself. So I hope I'm making some sense to you guys as well. But still want to talk about tonight's game. Some big decisions facing Mikel Arteta. We'll have a look at the predicted 11. Look what some of you guys have been saying on that. We'll be reacting. I'll share some of your reaction to the Matthias Cunha links. Obviously, good night for him yesterday. Wolves beating Manchester United, and Cunha absolutely starring in that game. So look what you guys have been saying about that. And going to look at what Mikel Arteta has been speaking about in the sort of embargoed section of his pre-match press conference, with those quotes going live yesterday. Some interesting stuff on Bukayo Saka, Arsenal coping without him, and what he wants to see from his players in these next sort of 8 to 10 weeks or so, or however long it proves to be that Bukayo Saka is out. So lots of interesting things to get stuck into. We'll start on Saka. I mean, I saw a good preview piece written by Simon Collins over at the Standard that I retweeted earlier today, and he's talked about this as a bit of a step into the unknown for Arsenal. And he's right, it is. Saka's so reliable. He always seems to be there, rarely misses a game. Under Mikel Arteta, I think he's played more than 40 games more than any other player. He's scored about 35 goals more than any other player. He's got about 20 assists more than any other player. That's how much Arsenal rely on Bukayo Saka under Mikel Arteta. He is their linchpin when it comes to goals and those crucial moments in the final third. Bukayo Saka is the man for Arsenal. And for the next 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it is, they're going to have to find a way of dealing without him being there. And today is the first day of that. Look, home to Ipswich Town. You would hope that Arsenal is certainly going to have enough to be able to deal with Ipswich Town, despite Bukayo Saka being there. Some trickier looking games to come. We can't obviously take Ipswich lightly. They've travelled to Spurs and won this season, so they can win. They've done it in North London already this season. But having said that, you would still hope that Arsenal have got enough in them to get the job done tonight without Bukayo Saka. But Mikel was talking about it. It was quite interesting stuff from him, actually. I've got a few of the quotes here. On life without Saka, he said, look, we are looking at every option that we can do, especially because we've lost 2 players, Saka and Sterling. So we are going to be different. That's it. Trying to be the same but worse, this I don't want. Someone trying to do Bukayo Saka, that player has to be him. That's it. That's the direction. I thought that was interesting stuff from Mikel, saying, look, we can't just try and be like for like. We can't try and play the same way and just put someone over on the right-hand side, expect to play the same way that we do with Bukayo Saka in, because you can't do that, because whoever it's going to be is not going to be Bukayo Saka. So we've got to find a different way to play. And I'm sure Arsenal are going to have to do that. It's going to take a while for them to adjust. The next, 2-3 weeks, they're probably going to, there might be some teething pains, I would suggest, in terms of how Arsenal are going to cope with it. I've said before, I think kind of for now, the first short-term thing is Martinelli on the right-hand side and see how that works. But there are other options as well. Mikel was asked about the players sort of stepping up in Saka's absence. He said, I think it's something collective. Martinelli, certainly did that because he had a big impact in the game against Palace. And like other players, everybody is going to have to add something else, because Bukayo, we rely on him a lot, is not going to be with us. Gabby loves it. You give him a challenge and he wants to do it if he can. He's a player that likes responsibility and having a bigger role, but it's for all the players to take responsibility. So it's not just falling on one person. I can't imagine every single week it's just going to be Gabriel Martinelli playing on the right-hand side. There will be difference. He will try some different things, but I think certainly for the start and for tonight, I'd be surprised if it's not Gabriel Martinelli. And I just think when you sort of look at what Mikel's saying there and about Martinelli, he said you give him a challenge and he wants to do it. He's a player that likes that responsibility and having a bigger role. These are the sort of moments when your players in the squad, your players in the team need to step up. This season could get away from Arsenal very, very quickly if they feel sorry for themselves about Bukayo Saka being injured. They can't afford to do that. They're already playing catch-up when it comes to Liverpool anyway. So they need to be able to respond quickly and keep responding quickly to life without him. We saw when Odegaard got injured, they started off pretty well, got some good results without Martin Odegaard. But the longer his absence went on, the more it seemed to affect Arsenal and make them a poorer team. So that can't happen without Saka. They need to just consistently win. They need to win tonight, and they need to keep winning. And players like Martinelli, Ethan Nwaneri, even Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz, those sort of players are going to have to really, really step up. Gabriel Jesus as well, who we know can play on the right-hand side. It was a good day of Premier League action yesterday for Arsenal. Obviously, Liverpool got the win at the end. When Leicester were winning 1-0, you're like, oh my God, this could be the perfect day for Arsenal. Obviously, Liverpool turned it around. They went on and got the win. And when you look at the league table now, obviously Chelsea lost at home to Fulham. That late fight back from Fulham had really good performance from Fulham. I think they absolutely deserved that from what I saw. Took the game to Chelsea, especially in that second half, and got their rewards. Forest obviously beating Spurs. Where are Spurs now? Hold on, I'm trying to look all the way down the league to see where they are. There they are, 11th Spurs. Bottom half of the table going into the new year. But yeah, good win for Forest as well. They've moved above Arsenal. But if Arsenal win today, they go second and will move to within 6 points of Liverpool. So it's a really important day for Arsenal. They've got to take advantage of Chelsea slipping up. Unfortunately, Liverpool march on. They're just inevitable at the moment. Liverpool, every single game, you just know that Salah's going to do something, as he did yesterday. And even when they go behind, they've got so many attacking options. You know, it's the envy of everyone, I think, the attacking options. Yes, again, I went and brought in Luis Diaz for my FPL team for Saka, because Saka was injured. Obviously, took him out, brought in Luis Diaz, and he doesn't even play. Whenever I do that, I've brought in Diaz about 3 times this season, and every time he's not played, and I've taken him out, and then he comes back in and scores a goal. But you just look at the options they've got. You know, so much goal threat. Cody Gakpo again delivering for them yesterday. But it's definitely a big day for Arsenal. They've got to take advantage of what happened with Chelsea. Man City dropping points again. Obviously, at home, 1 win in 13 for Manchester City. It truly is remarkable. Okay, before we get on to predicted 11s, just on transfers, Mikel was asked about transfers when he was talking about Saka and everything else. He said, look, my focus now, honestly, is just about the squad that we have and to be as competitive as we possibly can be. We have many, many options to do that. And if something unbelievable is available and the club is willing to do it, we'll have to consider it. It's kind of a stock answer from Mikel when he talks about the January transfer window. It's like, well, I've got to focus on the play. And he's right. You do have to focus on the squad that you've got and the players that you've got. But as I said yesterday, I still feel like it feels like this is something Arsenal have to react to in the transfer window. And I absolutely hope that they do. The Matthias Cunha stuff's obviously rumbling on and has been since The Athletic wrote the story saying that Arsenal have an long-standing interest in Matthias Cunha. Had a very good day for Wolves yesterday, obviously, in their win against Manchester United. That's not going to make him any cheaper. I can't imagine Wolves would be considering letting him go in January because, you know, they're fighting for their lives. They want to stay up in the Premier League. And you would be very, very surprised if they were to let him go. It might be a difficult one for Arsenal to do for the summer. Maybe so. It might be a lot more easier to get it done. But January, it feels like an impossible, well, not impossible, but it feels like a difficult one. You'd have to put some big money on the table, I would say, to convince Wolves to sell arguably their most important player. Well, I don't even think it's arguably. He is just their most important player. Right, let's go on to predicted 11 at the moment. Honestly, I can tell that I'm sounding absolutely awful at the moment, so apologies for that. But yeah, I'm really not feeling too great. This is my predicted 11 that I've gone for. It was difficult. I think this is what I'm thinking Mikel's going to do. I think I was kind of umming and ahhing about left back, about who's going to play in the sort of holding role. You know, what you're going to do on the right-hand side. It was not an easy predicted 11, but this is what I've gone for. So I'm going Raya in goal, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and I think Calafiori. Obviously, Miles Lewis-Skelly started ahead of Calafiori in the game against Crystal Palace. Calafiori came on, had a good cameo. Now he's back from injury. I feel like we might see Calafiori come in and start this game later on. So that's the back four: Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori. I've then gone with Rice as the holder, and then Odegaard and Havertz ahead of them. Ahead of Rice, and I've gone with Martinelli on the right. Obviously, Jesus, who I think has to play as a central striker just because of what he's doing at the moment, the goals he's scoring, how confident he's going to be, and then Trossard on the left-hand side. Obviously, it might very well be Partey playing in the holding role. He got the nod ahead of Declan Rice in the game against Crystal Palace, but I'm just wondering if you might rotate and sort of protect Thomas Partey a little bit after he started in that game, bring in Declan Rice, let him have a start for this one. So yeah, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Odegaard, Havertz, Martinelli, Jesus, and Trossard. That is my predicted 11. Here's what some of you guys have been saying ahead of the game. Aaron says, my lineup for Ipswich: Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Odegaard, Marino, Martinelli, Jesus, and Trossard. Nick says, I think we'll start Ethan on the right, move Martinelli there in the event of subbing Ethan, and put Trossard on the left. Avon says Martinelli showed some positives during the Palace game, being able to use his right foot to cross and cut back. I did, however, notice that Timber wasn't always able to find Martinelli, as he wasn't always given the option. The overlapping runs dried up until Ethan came on late. The quick passing with Odegaard went missing, and our left side predominated in the absence of Martinelli over Rice, and Calafiori came on. I'd still like to see Ethan given more minutes, 20-30, to prove himself and give us a comparison on the right. The Ipswich game may be such an opportunity. It might well be. I'd be surprised if Ethan starts this one. I do think it will be Martinelli. But as I said before, when you sort of look at the makeup of this squad and you look at what profile is closest to Saka's, it's probably Ranieri, the fact he can cut inside on his left foot and kind of do. But as Mikel said, he doesn't really want to just try and copy and just be the same Arsenal, but with a different player playing Saka's role. I think he's going to have to do things a little bit differently. And here's what you guys have been saying about Matthias Cunha. A few of you getting in touch. Thank you very much for that. I can't pronounce that at the top. I think Quinny says, I just watched Cunha against Man United. He's a proper baller. Yeah, he was very, very good in that game. Steve says, just watching Cunha versus Man United. Please give me him all day. He's so, so good. He plays like someone is watching him right now. Fred says, although Cunha is a wonderful player who stays calm in the final third, I'd be amazed if Arteta went for him after the incident with Ipswich and the security guard. It gives me Guendouzi vibes. Soundwave, not a fan, clearly says, I'd like to see Cunha as far away from Arsenal as possible. And Raz Bazari says, Cunha would be a good addition to the team. However, there is no way Wolves will let him leave in January. Yeah, I do tend to agree. I think it'll be a very, very hard one for Arsenal to get done in January. But he's a very good player, Matthias Cunha. I really do think so. I think he's ready to make the step now from playing for Wolves to a top four club. I think he's good enough to play for a top four club. And I think he's just going to get better and better as well. So, yeah, I would be absolutely for that signing. I have to say, I think he's a top quality player. And watching him play against Man United yesterday only sort of reaffirmed that for me. But look, that's it from me today. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. Apologies if I've not really made too much sense. Like I said, I can barely even hear myself. My head is so bunged up at the moment. But I hope I managed to make some sense talking about tonight's game. Like I said, I'm not going to be at the match, but I will do a video tomorrow reacting to it. And you want to get involved in that show, then at full time, come back to this video, get into the comments, let me know your thoughts on what you've seen, who impressed you, who didn't impress you. I'll pull some of them together and get them included in tomorrow's reaction show. And hopefully I'll be feeling a little bit better, and I'll make be a little bit more complimentous when it comes to doing a video tomorrow. Enjoy the game, everyone, later. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.